So the answer, I guess, is I can't afford to be blocked, or I couldn't afford to be blocked.
So, when you're writing, can some of your characters surprise you, or you from the beginning know what will they be, what will they become, what will they do?
Well, initially on the original, the screenplays that I wrote no one paid me for them, but I wrote them and then sold them. Yes, there is a surprise. However, when you're usually paid to do work by a studio, there's not so much surprise because they have given you the material, or they have a book that they want you, or a play, or a story that they want you to adapt. So you pretty much know the direction you are going, and you can't be too surprising in the characters, because then it upsets the people who have hired you. They said, this character is different, unless you've discussed it with them beforehand, and they say, yes, we want to change that character. So.
Can you try to compare typical writing and screenplay writing? What do they have in common and what's completely different?
Well, I think so-called regular writing is, in a sense, much more word detailed. It's much more specific and comprehensive. Screenwriting is like an architectural blueprint, and it's where visuals and dialogue dominate with a description of character. But you know, if you have a lot of help in making a film when you write a screenplay, you don't have to explain everything. You can describe that a setting is like Cetinja in the fall, and then you let the art director and the production designer research what that looks like and build the set or film it there. So you don't really have to describe all those things unless it's to set a mood. So it's, in some sense, it's a more direct. It focuses on the narrative and the characters and dialogue.
In this moment, do you work on some screenplay, maybe?
Well,
write something?
I'm not working on one now. I'm hoping that one that I had done before, an original, may have a chance of being revived, resurrected, and being made. We'll see, but everything is in development. It's a process that is unfortunately well known by an awful lot of people, including me.
I know that it's not typical for a writer to say, but can you say us, for example, what genre it's gonna be?
I'm sorry, what?
What genre it's gonna be that?
Or genre?
Yeah.
That is actually sort of a very broad action and comic western, which now has a large canvas, very expensive movie to make. But maybe now with CGI, that will be easier to make. But we'll see. It's owned by a studio now, and it's just a question of getting their attention that they have it and should try to make it.
Do you find Montenegro is a good place for filmmaking?
Well, I don't know. It's certainly. Well, let me ask you that. How many films have been shot in the U.S. in Montenegro? I can only think of one. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that is the film with Adrian Brody, the Bloom brothers, Brothers Bloom. Do you know it?
We've heard of it.
Yes. Did you work on it or did you help? But that was shot off the coast, was it not? Of Montenegro. I was very disappointed with Casino Royale, for instance.
Because it's written Montenegro, but actually it's not.
When they said, they made a big point about the casino in Montenegro, and I thought, well, this would be wonderful. They probably shot it at Steffi Stefan or whatever, and there'll be wonderful images. And then I don't know where they shot it. I assume it was in either Belgium or Slovenia or whatever, or some.
Well, I think it's not Balkans.
Czech Republic.
Pardon?
Czech
Republic. Yes,
yeah.
it had no relationship to Montenegro at all.
Beside the title, Montenegro.
Yes, yes. I don't know why they even called it Montenegro. Why didn't they call it the Czech Republic?
I have no idea.
Except Montenegro is very romantic.
Yeah.
It has a romantic name. It seems it promises adventure and romance in some ways. So.
When you're about it, I think 2 or 3 days ago I watched The Great Gatsby, and in that movie also they are mentioning Montenegro as like the Great Gatsby received the medal from the King of Montenegro.
Yes. Well, that's probably from
kind
the
of
film.
popular.
Well, I'll have to
filmmaking.
see the film then. I don't. I wonder if the other versions have that reference too, because there have been several American versions of The Great Gatsby. One with Alan Ladd in the 1940s, and then of course the Robert Redford Great Gatsby that was done with Mia Farrow. I probably don't remember those or have forgotten them, but this is the latest. They just keep getting remade. But there was the other mention of Montenegro was always Anna Karenina. So I didn't see this most recent Anna Karenina, but I don't know whether they mentioned Montenegro. But I assume that they do. Do they? I don't know.
Do you have some movie quote or line that you'll remember always?
One of I think the most compelling. Yes, I mean there are so many that they are cliches now. But I think my favorite line is in The Unforgiven, the Clint Eastwood directed and starring Western, that was written by a fellow whose name escapes me for the moment. But when the Eastwood character said before he shoots the Gene Hackman character, I don't know how well you know the film, that Hackman says, I don't deserve this. And the Eastwood character, before he shoots him, says, deserve has nothing to do with it. That's fate. It's sort of a statement of fate in life.
It is a strong.
It's a very, very strong statement, I think. Very memorable line.
Do you have your favorite book which you read often?
Read often? Oh, gosh. Not really. There are several that I like a great deal. Some American authors that I like. And I'm sorry to say that I enjoy reading and rereading Jane Austen.
Why are you sorry to say that?
Yeah, well, because so many have, do that, and she's become so popular. But when I first read her when I was very young, no one was reading her. And that was when I was in England. At least no American that I knew of was reading her. And I even went down to the town that she wrote about, Bath, England. And I went to all the places in her books. I was the only one there looking at the places that she describes in her book. Now,
It became mainstream.
it's become, like
So that's the example
a tourist.
for alternative
It's become a
becomes
tourist
mainstream.
attraction. So,
And
but that's good. I don't mind that. But I'm just saying that she's certainly someone who's
is there any book that you would like to adopt?
to adapt.
movie?
At this point, I don't know. Probably, I can't think of one. I'm sure there are. There's probably more than one. But certainly not The Great Gatsby.
How do you see the recent Hollywood production, the quality of it?
How do I see it?
Yes, your scope, your opinion.
Well, I find a lot of these so-called action films, based upon, this is not so surprising, based upon comic books and so forth, like The Avengers and all that. After a while, they get very repetitive, the same, and they don't interest me much. But on the other hand, I think that the independent filmmakers are wonderful storytellers, in particular the American Alexander Payne. His films are, I think, quite something, and rightly so. There's a lot of good filmmaking going on, but in terms of the large, what should I say, assembly line films, they're too much oriented to action and special effects. One of the things that was very nice about Life of Pi, I don't know if you've seen it, is that it was a way in which it sort of was a nice blend of special effects and true human story. And the special effects were also wonderfully done, in the sense that they weren't aliens, they weren't mechanical robots. They were tigers, and you saw them and you thought that was the real tiger, and most of the time it wasn't. So that magic can work, and I don't mean to disparage the traditional, the large-scale Hollywood film, because if those films did not make money, then the smaller filmmakers and the independent films probably would not get the support from also when it's needed from the major studios. So hopefully they work together.
A lot of filmmakers are telling that European film is better than American. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't know. It's very difficult to know, because what we get in the United States of European films are usually the best made European films from France or wherever. They've already been pre-selected. They've been to festivals and whatever, and they come, to like the Hanke films. But in the U.S., we get everything. You get the good, the not so good, the great, the terrible, and it's almost too much. So it's an unfair question.
Okay. So can you tell me then, do you have your favorite European director or movie?
Well, I'm very fond of my pronunciation of their names is terrible. So I was very fond of the French film. I think it was Summer Hours, which was several years ago, and that I think is Olivier Assayas. I'm terrible with French or other languages. I think he's very good. I like some of the more direct Italian filmmakers too, and there are a lot of them. There are some Belgian filmmakers, the brothers, who work together, who are terrifically good. And I'm always pleasantly surprised by newcomers, but I don't follow any. I follow some whose names now escape me, but then I'm always introduced to new ones. But that's, of course, they're pre-selected, and it will be interesting to see all of those European films, because then maybe I would think that maybe Europe doesn't produce anything worthwhile.
And for the end, do you have any message to all of the people who would like to become screenwriters once?
Well, the message is what I think any message would be: is write, do your work constantly, and write what you want, and try not to listen to the negative comments around you until you have to, until you sell or you are hired and you have to listen to your boss for a while, and then you argue with him or her. But just do what you want to do and see how talented you could be, and try to make some luck for yourself. That's the best thing.
Thank you very much for this interview, and
Thank
you
you
have a
for
great
it.
time in Montenegro.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
E pa bio je to Atlas intervju, direktno sa Cetinja iz hotela Grand. Ja vas zahvaljujem na pažnji i nadam se da ste uživali makar onoliko koliko smo svi mi ovdje uživali. Hvala Isidora tebi, thank you, hope to see you again sometimes. I poštovani gledalci, hvala vama još jednom što ste bili uz nas. Do nekog sljedećeg viđenja, budite dobri i budite dobro. Prijetno.